Mountain Mama, take me home,
Oh,
country
country
road.
road. Hey, is it Danchik? Like that?
Yes.
Okay. Why does that name? Is that a famous name? Somebody's famous is called Danchik, like an athlete of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Is I don't know. That the name sounds
I'm with you.
vaguely familiar.
I'm with you. There is somebody that has that name. I'm not for sure exactly
It's
who.
probably hockey. That sounds like a hockey name. I don't know. Okay.
All consonants, no vowels.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh boy. Okay.
yeah. I got to figure out what's going on because this is really, really upsetting me. Because
Figure it out after.
I know,
After.
Or about 1:30.
but the
Yeah.
thing is,
That would be even better.
I
Yeah.
did. I fired it up and everything was perfectly fine. And I was talking to Leo. I mean, I was
You were
good.
kind of blurry though.
Was that
Maybe you should change the type of wood you use to fire it up.
Well, yeah, maybe I should go to an oak probably then instead of a pine.
Pine is dirtier too.
That's true.
Gonna clog your shit up.
Right, a lot of creosote. Yeah.
You done messed up, AA Walmart.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey!
Hello!
Hercules!
Look at this. What's going on, guys?
Howdy.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm just gonna apologize for my face.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can't change that, bro.
I know. That's why I'm sorry. I don't have enough money. We get paid more.
You know, gotta work harder. I like it. It's like, are you like back in like the Gungeon, like back where they keep you? It looks like Huggy's at a bar.
So yeah, so this is my man room because I'm married. This is where I have been relegated. I'm in a closet.
Yeah, it's his man closet, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the cool thing is there's guns in here. The downside is I have to lock myself in here for it to be quiet. So, and then Huggy's at a bar.
I mean, I'm 100% optimistic that Huggy's absolutely at that bar. Here, we'll make it good. I feel like
Am I the only one that doesn't have a drink? Now I feel like a failure.
It's okay to be a failure.
Here you go, Huggy. We'll bring
You
you a
get
little.
used to it. Okay, he wins.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'm with you.
This is homebrew.
There
I'm
you go.
legitimately the only person without a beverage right now. I'm sad.
I think
Mine is homebrew too, but it has caffeine.
Oh, okay.
I
well,
could
mine
go
has a little bit of caffeine in it, Coke, but you know,
Watering it down, huh?
yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.
You gotta drink your shine straight.
I do have some of that. Trust me, I do
Well,
have.
that's what this is. This is my homebrew shine.
Oh,
I got my own still and everything.
Oh, well, we might have to borrow the Danchik brand.
You know, I was trying to actually, funny enough, I know we have other stuff to do, but I was thinking that somebody just said the same thing. And so I have the old stuff that we did from the Happy Little Alphas with Bob Ross on it and just thinking about making the stickers for the lids.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Branding.
You let me know, and I will definitely be there.
Everyone seems to want and it's actually a really good shine. Actually, I had some. I got a guy that my new neighbor lives up the road. And he's like, oh yeah, we get shine all the time. Blah 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 blah. And he's like, holy shit, this is good. I could get this like 200 a gallon. I was like, He's like, it'll fund the building in the range.
See, but see, it's different when you have somebody that makes it like right down the street because it tastes so much better when it comes at a shorter distance. You know.
Sasha's like, yup. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I actually take 14 days to ferment my mash.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yep. So what's all this?
Oh, what happened here?
That was an interesting view.
I know that wasn't me, so I don't know who touched the computer.
I did.
I
Figured as much.
feel like, can I raise my hand, please?
I have something to
Actually,
say.
if you do it, I can't do it here, but Huggy, if you do it just right, you should be able to block Dave.
Right, you see? If I
Because of your giant mitts.
I don't know. There. Oh, almost there. Almost.
but it won't let me go over. Oh, no, won't do it. Oh well.
So cool. So what do we do? We're just gonna hang out and chat and figure this out. We got your questions. What are we doing? So how's this all work?
Yeah, we're about to start it right now. Welcome to episode 13 of the the Casual Shooters podcast. You've got your usual hosts, myself, Leo, and Chris, and we have two guests on today that we're going to interview. And I will let them introduce themselves. So if you guys would introduce yourselves real quick. That would be you, Mike, and Sasha.
I'm Sasha, and my nickname's the Monster.
And I'm Mike Danchek, and I'm the dad. I'm the father of the monster.
The
Or known as
creator.
Your dad.
Proud moniker right there. I created a monster.
That's right.
I have-
I have to start off with a kind of a disclosure here. Is I cannot control what she says. I can't control any of your hurt feelings, or anything else that'll make you feel bad about yourself,
Dude, I
or the
love it.
missions you may shoot. So, or the guns you may carry. So I can't fix any of that. So I just thought I'd start off with that parental advisory for the parents to feel bad about themselves.
And he raised me.
Totally fine. We're all married, so we're used to being downgraded by women. Comes with the territory.
All right. Well, there you go. So.
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest thing to start off with is how did you earn the name Monster?
Yes.
Well, like when I was a little kid, my dad had nicknames for all of us, like all my siblings and I, because it would be the three of us, we'd be the animals. And then my brother was the machine, my sister was the beast, and I was the monster. And so we used that name to kind of keep my like full name and my like real name off the internet. And so like it kind of keeps it more safe.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a bunch of creepy people on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
True.
so I think that part of that I think that kids at too young of an age, they get their name out there, exposure, stuff like that. So we even ran under a moniker, you know what I mean, and like a pseudonym for many, many years, where they couldn't even find us, you know what I mean, where it was just about, getting her out there, getting her name, and then kind of protecting her identity until she got old enough, which is still,
Wow.
not that we can control it now, right? Because the kind of way things have changed, but at least she's a lot older. She's not 9 and 10 years old and stuff out there like that. So you couldn't search her. So they would always pop up as the monster. So that's sort of why we did that. But it also fits her character. If you guys already have experienced.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
that
yeah.
makes sense. I've seen her shoot.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, she can shoot. I will honestly tell you, I have bragged about you, Sasha, so many times to so many people, telling them how I've had the experience to watch you shoot and how amazing you are and how young you are. And it just blows my mind of how amazing and how fast and how accurate you are. So I've actually put your name out there quite a bit, telling people that they need to be watching you when you shoot because you are just an amazing shooter.
Thank you.
Oh no. And plus it makes me, I'm like, man, am I really that old?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, amen.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Emphatically, enthusiastically.
so Sasha, how old are you?
I'm 13.
And how old are your siblings?
Well, my sister's 15, my brother's 17.
So you're the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do they shoot?
My brother used to shoot, but then he kind of fell out of interest and started doing percussion instead.
Okay. All right.
It became a little drummer boy, huh?
Well, it's not just drums. I actually, if you see over here, we have a vibraphone, a full size vibraphone sitting in our house. That's about what is that, 6.5 feet long that he uses for marching band.
Oh, okay, very good.
So
Because he's in the pit
Wow.
marching.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like actually march. He like is up in the front.
Okay, very
And
good.
mosh pit.
I mean, he would fit there, but I can't necessarily
Okay.
say that he is there. But yeah, no, they're in the pit section of stuff like that. So
Okay.
he's very actually all three of the kids are very, very talented with it. They take after their mother like that, and so they have so they all have their passion. So my son was percussion. He started shooting. He was shooting at 9, and then took a little bit of break, came back and shot with us. And then Sasha, that's when Sasha got interested at 8, I think.
Yeah.
Is when she started. And then he was shooting a revolver with me. She started picking up at with like 22 rimfire, all that other stuff. And then he kind of went his own way back to his percussion. That's really what he's focused on over the years. And then her older sister's in the junior Olympic program for gymnastics. So she's homeschooled.
Wow.
She's in the gym 5 hours, 6 hours a day. She's there now. And so she's homeschooled. She's got it's a pretty cool program, actually. She's in high school, but also enrolled in college at the same time. So she's dual enrolled. So when she gets out of high school, she'll have her associates and her diploma at the same time.
Wow.
Good
And then you have the monster.
Lord.
Yeah.
And then there's me.
And so
Very matter of fact, and then there's me, who's nationally ranked shooter, no big deal.
Right.
So you just you wake up in the
caboose
morning
of
and you
the
make
train.
excellent humans, is what you do.
well, like I said, they take after my wife. I just get to show up for about a minute and a half, and that's the point, right?
There you go. Still coming out a winner.
No, I think it's this is for Sasha and stuff, but I think that the biggest part for my wife and I, which has been part of it, is that they have to find something they're passionate about and they have to strive for that. So whether it's shooting, gymnastics, percussion, it's all about discipline. It's about character building. It's about doing all that other stuff and driving them to learn to succeed, but more importantly, learn to fail. And going into this stuff, and Sasha and I were just talking about that today, right? Not letting stuff get in her head, letting stuff, make her nervous. But they all learn about risk management. They learn about how to operate. So whether it's this sport or anything else, it's really about the mental capacity and the skill building for their kids. And that's all we want, is something them to be passionate about. I don't necessarily care what it is. I will put some, certain things around that one, but it's far more about what are they passionate about. And how do we drive to that? Because too many kids today don't understand what it is to really suck and fail at something that you love and still do it, and then go back after it until you are, doing this stuff. So
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I love the no quit attitude coming from a former athlete myself. It's always you keep fighting, you don't give up. You just keep on digging and digging and digging. You will reach that, that brass ring one time or another, but you just got to keep digging. So I like that attitude, and keep that attitude up. That's a very good attitude. So my question is, what's it like in school? Do people realize that you are a nationally ranked young lady?
Well, my history 6th grade class definitely knows, because we had an all about me. And I actually once got called down to the principal's in, I think, my first year of middle school, and he actually wanted to learn more about shooting and stuff like that. And so it was me with a couple other people who shot, and so we talked for a little bit about shooting, and it was kind of nice because it was good to know that there's other people, adults, who are also on your side.
That's
Well, it's
awesome.
interesting because you can talk about shooting in school and not get in trouble. You can't really do that in too many places nowadays, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been very, very supportive from the schools with it, which has actually been pretty interesting. Being out here, so we're not as, I guess the answer would be more rural. So that's sort of the deal. And then also kind of prepping it has also been important. So even back to when she was in 3rd grade, and she first started, at the teachers conference, I made it a very interesting point to make it sure that she should expect conversations around shooting in her classroom, because that's something that my daughter does.
Because it was like when I first started, so I was obviously like really excited about like it being like my first match and stuff like that. So
Yep. So we tend to like to try to stay out in front of issues or challenges before they show up. And so we kind of like, hey, here's that line in the sand, or here's that opportunity. So we start the dialogue before there's something that they don't understand. And we've actually had some challenges or some questions around that. And so they've come to us before anything else is major. So they know certain stuff about that. And Sasha's a great advocate for the sport. Even in her school, we had a call from the dean, about some questions around one of her avatars for it, because she had a picture of her at nationals. And so we just talked through it, and their stance was, as long as it wasn't negative,
or
breaking
distracting.
the law, distracting, anything like that, then they were okay with it. And so they went through that whole process. So I think it depends on the communities you're in, and support those teachers in the schools. So I think was interesting. I think, what was your reaction to if it was distracting?
Oh, well, which one? I had two.
About whatever.
Oh, well, so one of my reactions was that if it was distracting, because like it was before like the like election and stuff like that. And so it was like, if my like picture machine is distracting, then how come like the like campaigns for like the Biden and Trump aren't? Because it didn't really make sense, because like people like actually in my science class, this was like after the incident, but it was still like during the election thing, people actually got in a fight in like the chat about it. And so it was like how am I distracting if they're like stirring it up,
Gotcha. Okay.
It's
Very
a double
smart.
standard, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so on that line, I guess, what do you like? What is it for? Sorry, this is kind of a weird question, but since you have this platform, that hopefully somebody's going to listen to, what would you say to somebody, because you do seem like somebody who's a very well-spoken advocate for the sport. So what do you say to somebody who's your age, or obviously you talk to people that are older than you about it? What do you say to people who want to get into the sport or have an interest in it about, like how do you promote the sport? Like, what do you say to people? Like, how do they look to you as somebody who's so young and yet so accomplished to be like, hey, you're somebody I could maybe look up to or can use as a guide to get me into this?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, if it was like someone who like we knew, it would be like, how can we hook you up with a gear? Because like we want to help, we want to make it the best experience for you. And like sometimes like if you might not want to stay with it, like some people my age might like fall out of it because like we're still trying to find our thing. But like it's a really fun sport. It's like a great community, and I think you'll have really fun. Like whether like there's always people who are willing to help you out if you ever need help. So it's kind of it's a really big fun community. So it's not like negative or anything like that,
His dog agrees with you.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Smart.
Yeah, smart dog.
So here's a question for you. How do you enjoy the traveling aspect of the show? And where have you gone, or where's the furthest you have traveled to compete?
I think the farthest I've traveled was Utah for nationals. Oh wait, did it move?
I don't know. Dave went somewhere and moved that
I
far.
think he's got 3 Great Danes, so he's dealing with
Oh.
they're boisterous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to your favorite place.
Yeah. So I mean, like the traveling part is really, really fun. I mean, like you do get to spend a lot of time in the car, but that does not mean like that it's boring. It's definitely very crazy at sometimes. It's like trying to find a good example. Oh wait. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you you drove all the way to Utah?
No, we flew, which was probably one of the most fun experiences because it was my first time flying on a plane since I was like a baby. So I was like really, really, really excited. Because I was like, because I remember once my dad told me to calm down because I was like so excited because it wasn't supposed to be a fun experience because we were in the airport and it's supposed to be like long and tedious, but I was just like so excited to like get on the plane and like see so many things. It was just a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah, that I bet you that was exciting, and especially, like you said, it's been a while since you traveled, probably since you were a baby. So knowing that you were of age to understand things and to appreciate things, you were like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I love flying myself too.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it was and the thing is, it was our first time traveling and flying with guns.
Mhm.
So when she says that it's supposed to be this, it's because I absolutely stressed out about dropping, two custom open guns in a box. The first thing you do, walk up to the counter. Excuse me, I'm here to declare a firearm. They're like, well, sir, can you take it out? Like, hold on a second. You want me to unlock the box with the guns in it, take them out to show them to you at the airport? You're not going to get me killed today, are you? And then walk around with it. So I was definitely I don't necessarily like to fly to begin with. I don't have a problem on the plane. It's just the process of getting there. So she was having a ball and makes a lot. And I think that's the biggest thing. Going back to what Leo said was about or just talking about the advocate for the sport is keeping it fun. Has been the biggest thing. Is that there's one thing I appreciate. I think you guys have all had a chance to shoot with Sasha. Is that she's still having fun.
Yeah.
As serious as she does, it's still we're out there enjoying the sport for what it is. It's not totally timmied out and running around here and overly taking yourself seriously. Which is still kind of building that community around it and making a shoot. So she keeps it out a lot of fun and kind of the travel with that and makes it this one. And I tell you from a dad standpoint, from traveling, it's I get her stuck in the car with me. So she's had an opportunity.
That's such a good face.
Yeah.
Great, Dad.
Yep. And so we get to go and explore on food and
don't get Mexican with him and then stay in the car with him.
Check.
Wow, right under the bus. And I was worried about your guys' heels, let alone mine. But yeah, we get to explore all of that and spend that time and sharing like books that we're doing on tape or reading, what I mean, and doing some of that stuff and seeing sites and going through. We're driving back and forth to Talladega, and that was a really really nice job going through because that's where CMP is. I think it's where we're shooting, and all the nationals are there next year. We're already.
Speaking of Mexican food, there's a really good Mexican food place that we went to down there.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it called?
No idea.
Mexican place.
Okay.
Not
a
a
good Mexican place. Not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. But
Yeah.
if you go to that place.
Oh, yeah, it was next to the Hilton, in between the Walmart, right by the Play It Again Sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone now has directions to that Mexican restaurant that is not a sponsor.
That's correct.
You can triangulate it. There are 3 different places he mentioned.
Right. There was another place that's also in Talladega that it was a steak shop. It was a steak place gallivanting around like a diner. So it was like diner food steak, but whatever. It's Talladega. It's beautiful there.
Food.
The range is just amazing. But yeah, anyway, the drives there, getting the time on there, spending that stuff, staying awake. We get up at 2 a.m. and just drive straight through for 12 hours together. So there's a lot of that as well.
That's awesome. I love, like you stated, the passion that she has, and she also said she enjoys it. We were fortunate enough to see the Williams sisters shoot when we were at the Nationals for production, and it was actually really interesting to watch them shoot because it was almost like watching you, because it was like, oh my God, they're just like her. The passion, the fun, the enjoyment that they were having while they were in shooting, But it was funny because once they stepped up to the line and got on the line and, the range officer said, shooter, make it ready. It was like that whole demeanor changed. And it was like, game on, it's time to go to work. And then once they were done and everything, it was like the face changed and it was like, Okay, had a good time. Now let's go have you know.
Yep.
And I see that with you also, because when we shoot up at Shadowhawk and I see you up there, it's the same thing. It's like, when you get up on the line, that game face comes on. And then once you're done and you're up back off the line, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm relaxed. So I love
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Because I mean, it's just like there's a time to take things seriously. Oops, I just
You're
moved a
good.
bit. And then there's a time to, like have fun. And I mean, like if you take too much time seriously, it obviously won't be as much fun. And like the whole like reason we're like hanging out is to have fun.
Right.
But sometimes you want to make sure that the fun doesn't get mixed in with the seriousness.
So well said. Well said.
Yeah, occasionally we have a problem with that here and being serious. So, our bad.
Yeah.
So
Now,
go ahead, Dave.
before
You
we
got
get
something.
too deep into this, what's your primary division that you shoot?
Open,
Now, is that 38 Super Comp?
9mm.
Oh, so it's
9mm
9mm. Okay. And what gun are you shooting?
Razor Cat. It's a Lim Cat. but it's a
Okay.
Razor Cat.
And what optic are you using?
I think a Seymour.
Yep. We still run the old school Seymours actually. 90
Okay.
degrees. Yep. Yeah. I still think there's still development in that space for a lot of people, or a lot of the companies out there. We've seen some issues with the boards and stuff like that, and we have enough to worry about. Why worry about the optic?
Fair.
Well, and I understand they're developing a new optic for slide mounted shooting. So I think they're coming out with a new optic shortly. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought I had come across.
That's fancy.
Yeah, I think as long as once again gear is very important, and the right companies work companies, and I think that I think that there's different brands and they're trying to push them, pretty hard, and they're not as I just don't know. They just don't run, or we've seen a lot of flickering in them. We've seen different issues with it, and so we want to make sure that whatever she's running on, she's going to be. I'd be very curious to see if they go to slide mounted optics, what's the staying power of them, right? Because I think that in those, a lot of it there's a lot of flickering, there's a lot of issues. That we've seen, and so we've got enough to worry about. And I think it's the question of even what caliber she shoots, the difference between 9 major and 38 super comp, or 90-degree optic, or heads up, right? Like, is that incrementally going to change her from at her certain level, right? Like, does that move her up incrementally? And the answer is no at this point, right? As soon as it becomes a hindrance, or it's the next level, or we find something that's good, then we'll make that change. But it goes back to this. Actually, I think it was this one. Is like, I think it was, should I spend money chroming my gun so it's got bling, or should I spend it on getting trained by JJ, or somebody else, or
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
that's going to do is blind you from shooting, as opposed to doing this. The best finish on a gun, I think, is we saw is holster wear, right? From dry fire. That's the best finish you should ever have on a gun. So that'll incrementally change it. Now, if chroming the slide kept it, made you faster, well, I mean, hey, more accurate.
I mean, I have a really fancy holster that I use like during single stack nationals, and it's got. So on the inside, my favorite color is yellow. So on the inside, it was all like yellow, and the outside it was like really bright glittery blue.
Oh.
And so it was just like very blingy, but I think it made me faster,
Oh,
Probably.
see, maybe
Right
I
here,
could chrome it.
where it matters.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
maybe I should chrome. It might make me faster.
Nope.
Listen, at least if you're going slow enough, everybody can see it too.
That is not a problem with him.
Oh,
Oh, come on. I at least gave him an out on the hate there.
he moves
There was
like
a
he's got
parental
two left
warning at the
legs.
beginning of this.
Yeah, but even going back to that, it's like the 38 Super Comp conversation, the 9 major. You know, if the brass is 10 cents a piece, even at a good price, and we get it effectively 9 for 1.5 to 2, you know, you think about this. Like for every piece of brass we don't shoot for 9 for 38 Super Comp, we're shooting 9. That's actually probably 3 more rounds of training we can do, cost wise, right? Like you start to think about the cost of the bullet, the powder availability, and all that other stuff. So I can get we can get 3 times more training in for her on the same dollar that we get for 38 Super Comp. Is the marginal benefit of Super Comp being a little bit flatter worth her not training 3 times as much because it's cost prohibitive?
Now, what does training look like?
That was my next question.
What does training look like?
How much or like what type?
Yes.
What type? How much? All of it. Like, what is your?
I mean,
Give me.
if I dry fire, I like to do it 5 days a week. Sometimes it only goes down to 2 or like 3, depending on how busy I am. But I like to keep it to 5 days a week. But with live fire, I mostly we mostly go to like Shadowhawk to like rent out a bay, and then we'll practice there, or we'll like shoot matches on the weekends. It's mostly like Fridays and the weekends. So we'll practice on Fridays, and then we'll like shoot matches on the weekends. And I mean, I have a very weird way of practice because it's way different. Well, I mean, it's not like that weird, but like my dry fire, I have different songs for different types of ways that I'm like warming up, which is really weird. But like if I'm gonna do like draws or transitions, it'll be like a different playlist because like it's just how I like practice, and it's really fun, but it's kind of weird.
Time out. What is your playlist? Because I'm gonna start listening to that playlist because I want to get better.
I don't know. Maybe I could send it to you. It has a lot of like I have really upbeat songs for transitions, and then I have like for real like I have like lyricless songs for like reloads, and then I have this one song that it's called like Still Feel, and there's this like really big like beat drop or whatever, and that's like where like that's like my beat button, you know?
I'm digging this.
It's
I
really
like this.
I think I'm gonna have to start my playlist now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We'll have to get to that playlist. I think the big part is part of what she's talking about is we segment out what she's training on. So for the casual shooters or casual, it's like kind of that idea like you think about like kind of the starting. So the good foundation. So Huggy, if you're looking for a good foundation, is Anderson, Steve Anderson, probably not a sponsor, right, of the show.
No, that'd be awesome. We love him.
Yeah. But he was she did her first class with Anderson at 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So she did it at 10 and just really put her work in and built a really good foundation where Anderson's thing is you incrementally work on each thing, right, and segregate and you segregate it out, and then you move through it all as one piece, right?
And then I got to C class.
Yep, she jumped right to C class, and so that's a big thing of starting to sew it all together, right? So she's still working on fundamentals, because the fundamentals of the sport are the key, and that's exactly what I think she's talking about through there is getting the sight picture, transitioning, because people waste a lot of time on transitions. They don't attack the transitions. Like if you start to watch her videos, you watch how hard that gun snaps. Now, and you can watch. You want to know how hard it snaps? Watch her pigtails, right? When her braids are there, No, but it's funny. You can see when she's really aggressive, and so that's what she's been really working on is the transitions. Live fire wise, it's like what we were doing yesterday, right? What we were training on yesterday.
I mean, like I also dry fire distance, but like we did a lot of distance, and like I really like doing on the move. It's like one of like my favorite because it's just so fun. But like we mostly like my warm up last live fire, I did far targets to like close targets. And how far was the farthest from that?
So we'll figure you take it up the back of the bay at Shadowhawk where what is it? Like we'll take either one normal one. So we'll be out like what 40 paces or something like that, 50 paces.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it was like, I don't know, Mr. Cameron.
Gotcha, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know.
But and so it'd be like 11 steps in between because well, at least my friend's 11 paces because I have smaller feet, so it'd probably be like 15 for me. But it was like, and then we would go the far to the close, or we would draw to the close and to the far. But it was really just getting in that right cadence to like remember to slow down on the far ones and the close ones. And I mean, it's kind of harder to practice that in dry fire because like you're like once you see it, like you pull the trigger. But like with live fire, like it has all of the stuff that dry fire doesn't have, so it kind of makes it more real. But
dry fire is very, very good. What gets lost in the dry fire is if you get really weak on your grip. So people, if your hands don't hurt when you're done dry firing, you haven't gripped the gun hard enough during your dry fire session. Like that's just the key because you're training yourself to limp the gun. And so that's why you have to blend in live fire with your dry fire. You know, it's not like if you're dry firing distance rifle because people do that. And you know, the recoil is a one shot. It's a follow up. The whole key is getting the gun to drive it back to position consistently. And so it's a drill we call it nears to fars. And basically it's exactly that. It's a target at 10 to 14 paces and they stagger all the way out. And so it's really individual transitions. It's actually almost like a classifier that they actually run. But you cadence it out to back and forth because the key you'll find with like shooters, like especially you watch the high level shooters, they change their cadence based on the targets they're running at, right? And their transitions, and so that you have to know how far you can rip a close target and then snap up to a transition. So another one is you put a fifth target out and you go real far to the bay, then real close, and then stagger back out. And so basically it's changing your sight picture so you can adjust your cadence so it becomes second nature. You kind of get in your flow.
And also, if you don't want it to be like one thing, like we didn't have an extra long live fire section, but like we kept the same targets because there's a lot you can do with just that. Like you can start off with the draws, and then you can do transitions from far to close to then middle to middle, or you could do like all four, reload, then all four. And one of obviously my favorite because, as I said, I love on the move. I would shoot two, and I would shoot at the target, and then I would run and shoot the next one, and then I'd pass the first target, and then run and shoot the next one, and pass the second target, and then run and shoot, and pass the third target, and like finish.
Yeah, so think about like exposing targets, and so that the paces you have to close the gap as fast as you can, but you can't take the next target once you passed the last target. You follow me? So you static first target. You roll, you can't pass that first target till you've hit the next one, but you want to close that gap as fast as you can so you learn how to also variable speed run and break and do and keep the gun in the fight. And so that's kind of a live fire session for us, you know, at a natural, like if you say, hey, what are you going to train on? That's what we're going to train. Or that's what she's going to train. And same thing with the reload. She had some baller reloads yesterday coming off of stuff. And it's all gun handling, right? That's kind of the biggest thing. It's like people don't train. Actually, a lot of things get lost in fundamentals, and they get lost in like whether it's an open, limited. Like guys, you can tell who doesn't practice their reloads and who does, right? And when that they do, I shoot single stack, so I'm on them all the time, right? Production, you're on them all the time. Ferry optics, right? You know what I mean? Like, PCs, they just, once again, it's getting away from the fundamentals of articulating the firearm. So she trains a lot of that just to stay very familiar with all operations of the gun. So, like what was it? We had 3 years ago, we had classifier naturals, and every single thing had a reload in it, had strong hand, had weak hand, all the stuff that nobody wants to train. Why? Because it sucks. And, you know what I mean? It's not the glamorous stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
We were just, I just shared a video with the other two, an IPSC video where it was strong hand only on steel activating a swinger. And it was a female IPSC shooter who had to engage the steel targets, strong hand only. And then it also engaged the swingers that were activated strong hand only. And my comment was, IPSC really makes you shoot a lot of the stuff that over here we don't shoot a lot because people don't like to. It's just not as fun. It slows you down. It's not as accurate because it's just not as fun. So
here's what's interesting about this. And so we had an opportunity to shoot a fair amount with Tilly down in North Carolina. Not a sponsor, apparently. I like that.
Definitely not.
But no, I mean, just to plug his club, like he puts on probably one of the hardest matches in this area, and it's worth the 5-hour drive from Nova. And if you can back it up with something else out there,
It's a lot of fun.
yeah, it's some of the most hateful stuff, and it's great. Like, what's the max distance on a 4-inch plate? He found it. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, you're going to thread the needle while you're doing it because there's no rule about that, right? So Chris does a really good job down there. But we've done he'll do. And people will complain about it. But we didn't have a chance to shoot this year's Area 8, and a lot of people complained a little bit about that. I heard was the IPSC style format. But here's the thing, like you got to people said, oh, there's not enough long courses, there's too many short courses or medium stuff. It's what's interesting about that is that long courses you have a lot of time, a lot of points typically, right? Like you just cut them down, so it can eat a lot of mistakes up. Right, like you can eat some mistakes and make them there. When you're shooting short course, you've got no choice. Like you got one hiccup, that whole thing's gone. You know what I mean? Like it starts to split up 0.2 of a second, right? Half a second. Like
Yeah.
that has a dramatic impact on your overall standings, which means your game's got to be on right out of the gate. Like you can't cover up a bad draw by hustling harder in the corner when you're taking a 2-step short course. Right. It's all good or all bad. Like that's all that you have. I had that happen to me at the Pennsylvania State. Like I had the timing just right, and I ripped that shot too hard coming off a position, had to make the makeup, and it was like done. And it was an 8-round course of fire on an 8-round single stack gun, or with one in the pipe. But if you threw the reload in there, you can pick up an extra 10. I think it was an extra 10 or 15 points, and that's exactly what I went to. And I figured out the timing, and I missed that one shot, and I might as well just zero the stage, And so it makes you perform in a very narrow window very, very quickly. You have to have your game on, and you're running. It's like running 8th mile, right? In drag racing, it's all you got is an 8th mile. Then you've got quarter, right? And that's kind of the idea. Right. So it's much harder to train that and have that level of intensity for that fast and spurt, and you start to think about it. We go to IPSC Nationals. What I say, it's like. I think what did they say? Like over a 3-day nationals or something like that, they might shoot 6 large field courses. That's it. Maybe less. Something like that because of what's right. It's 3-2-1. Yeah, it's 3-2-1, right? Like right. It's 3 short, 2 medium, 1 long. So 3 years. All you get is 3 long courses. You want to go be world champion? You better learn how to shoot fast and quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed about them too is. They're very technical. Their short courses are not just open targets. There's a lot of partials and no shoots and stuff like that. So they increase the difficulty through, the targetry, even though it's a short course, you still, you need to be on those fundamentals.
Mm-hmm. And one thing is that it's probably because my thought is that hard is really fun because it's a challenge, and I probably get that from him.
Agree. Yes, I agree.
It's and I guess people nowadays don't really like that, hard, but then how are you supposed to get better if it's not hard? And so I really like hard courses because even if you mess up, it's well, it was fun. And shooting a lot of partial, there's one match that we went to that was only 5 no shoots in the whole match, and it's what is this? Is this a PCC match? We're trying to actually get better. And,
not a sponsor.
And
I like it.
It's a lot more fun when you throw a lot more into the mix.
I went to Florida Open last February because I'd heard about the match, and it was very nice. I mean, that was the first time I shot some really long shots in a pretty good field course, and there was a lot of challenging moments in there. And I agree. I mean, you only grow from being challenged. If you're not being challenged, you're not going to grow.
Speaking of challenge, I'm kind of curious now because all of us went to nationals, but you went to the I think Carry Optics or Race Gun Nationals, stage 19. Did you guys have that far target that was to the far left to start off with? When
Try to remember stage 19.
Yeah, I remember that stage.
Yeah,
it was all the way at the end of the road.
Yeah, it was all the way.
That's what happened because she started getting shorter in her chair. So I feel like maybe that one didn't go so well.
She
It's a learning experiment.
There you go.
Experience.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the confidence of shooting on the move at 20 yards.
I was just curious about it because I know that when we shot it, we walked down to that bay, and I mean, we walked in the bay and we looked over and we were like, "Holy cow, are you serious?" You know, and you know, then we were doing the walkthroughs and we were standing there at the start line and we were like looking, and you're like, "Oh my god, man, I'm just gonna like, I think I'm just point and shoot and just go," you know.
It was interesting. I actually don't. So it's funny that you add that stage because that's left side of 19 in the back. It was funny because she actually had a mic on that far target. However, you're looking at the video. I don't know because her next target, like the next closest one, which was half the distance, it was a 2-inch group.
I just got way too excited.
Yeah, so it was just sort of, you know, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know if it's sight picture, but, you know, but yeah, I mean, she took her time on it, and you can see the grouping on the closer targets that were, like, at that distance. So, yeah, I mean, but then again, you know, here's the thing. It's like, how do you respond to that stage? Well, here's how you respond, Huggy. You're like, well, hopefully that's all you've been training all winter, is learning how to shoot at 50 yards with ease and understanding your gun standard deviation.
Exactly. I so agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I was just curious because I wanted to know other shooters' perspective because when I walked in there, I just kind of laughed at myself, going like, this is going to be funny, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know.
And some people crushed that stage. Like, they did really well on it. And I think, was it? No, it wasn't my first stage. Never mind. I was going to say, or it wasn't I was first up. I was going to say maybe it was, but I think it was because I had to go grab someone's dry hand stuff for them. And so I was like already really excited because I was running around everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. First of all, we actually had to shoot it in the monsoon. So it was pouring the rain when we got to that stage. And poor Leo was first up. And it was just pouring.
Fine.
And you know, we thought they were going to like say, "Hey, look, we're going to wait for a while, you know, maybe see this pass by." Nope, they came down there and said, "Get shooting," and we were like, "Oh, okay."
In fairness, I actually, because I forget the Russian guy. I always forget his name. Super nice guy, the RO. I was like, let's just go. Yeah, let's go. Come on. Let's just shoot it. It's not going. It's Florida. It's raining. Like, you know, it's going to rain. It's Florida.
Yeah,
I love shooting in the rain. I mean, it depends. Like, it's not so fun for my gun because, like, I don't really want to get my optic really low.
With the optic, yeah.
Yeah, but like it's really fun, and I mean, like, it kind of stinks like with the pacers and stuff. But like once we like practiced in the rain, it was like really, really fun.
Weird. We practiced in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point, though, right? Like, people don't do that. They don't like to do the stuff that you want. You have to learn how to shut that stuff off,
right?
And just run with it. I mean, I shot. We were always going to say go back to the 50-yard. Like when we used to shoot, I've shot six or eight nationals down for revolver and single stacks. I think and we had 50-yard. We had to do like strong hand only at 35. You know what I mean? Like whatever it was years ago. And so that's why you practice that stuff. I don't even know where my gun was hitting. Like I was like, I guess I got to learn this. So, you know, because you learn that stuff. And exactly the same thing is up in Barrie. You know, I was running through in 4.5 inches of water. Magazine's gone. Like no one cares. You just have to learn how to kind of like suck it up and just shoot through it, because that's what the sport is. It's an endurance, of mindset. So, some people are better with it. I hate my feet wet, so we run Gore-Tex socks. So, so your socks are fine. And that's really about I think that's the only gear change that we made. I did shoot full rain suit one year just because it was so bad out there. I shot IDPA style in at single stack nationals because it was so bad. And
Wow.
I didn't care because I was there for revolver nationals. It was like kind of the warm up for it. And if you're going to go make that drive for 14 hours, you might as well shoot it. So we were out there with a bunch of buddies hanging out. We might as well just been hanging out with friends at a level 1. Like that's how we were having fun with it. But it was funny. I came down from my draw. It was a surrender position, I think, and I came down. I caught the in my grip of my safety. The drawstring on your hood.
Yes.
Caught it and closed my hood as I pushed out.
Oh.
And I shot the entire stage. I couldn't quite see it.
He's like,
and I was trying. But I was still hitting.
Also,
what I mean?
more than once he's gotten his chair stuck to the back of his belt.
listen, as someone of heft, that it happens, and it's not as funny as you would think.
It is to watch.
I have a video of me shooting an entire stage with a chair hooked to the back of one of my necks.
And you're just like shaking your tail feather trying to get rid of it, and you're like, it's fine, just shoot.
I don't even realize it's. Not to say I didn't realize it was there, but it is what it is. I had another one where I pulled the belt
on the job.
Caught it on the back. I caught it on the back, and so as I was shooting, my belt was coming undone, and the last position, my belt fell off as I was hitting the reel.
Thankfully, your gun was in your hand, so that's there's a plus.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. That's the other thing too. I think with this one, and I think it goes back to your training schedule stuff. Like we shoot level. Like I think the other thing is mentality at different matches too. Like the fun side of stuff. So I think we're very approachable, a lot of fun in this one. But level 2s, the games are very, very different. Level 3s.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I think that's the other thing is learning the different mindsets at different matches. And really segregating yourself out. So like we have a certain schedule that we run when we're doing matches. Like where do what part do we paste? What do we not? Where do we start getting our game on? Like and learning all of that stuff. And that's another major part. So like level 1s, we're always playing and having fun and we're doing stuff. That's where we do a lot of testing. For us, level 1s are training. So a lot of times we'll go out, test new gear, do that stuff. And it's regardless. It's actually, and the people who overcomplicate level 1s actually a lot of times pull the fun out of it.
I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying
but she's gonna make you laugh, Maggie. But so that's where we test all of our gear, and so we have gun issues sometimes. We have all those challenges, and we just have fun doing it because we'll push through the challenges on level 1s.
I feel like I'm watching what happens on a long car drive.
Well, but like you said though, Mike, level 1s are the place to do it because, if you're using it as your training, your proving ground, that's not going to be the thing that's pushing you in the ranking. That's what's getting you to be ready and have the appropriate mindset for your level 2s, for your level 3s, for your major matches, your area matches, stuff like that. So, because do you only shoot? I shouldn't say only, but are most of your level 1 matches at Shadowhawk, or are there other places that you'll go and frequent?
You want me to answer all that? We shoot a lot. We shoot every club.
We shoot a lot. We don't shoot every club, but we shoot. Shadowhawk is the closest to us, and we also really like the people are amazing and the range is amazing. So we love going there. But we also shoot. We did shoot in North Carolina. That's where Mr. Tilly is.
Yeah, well, I guess a simple answer is ask yourself your commitment to the sport, and what you commit to is what you're going to get out of the sport. That's what's very, very unique about it, right? So we're our stretch drive is 3 hours each way.
And we kind of extended it to 5 hours, like for a month maybe.
Yep.
When we went down to North Carolina, but mostly it's only 3 hours.
Yeah, so if it's a 9:30 start time, we're up at 5. We're up at 5:30, 5. On a Saturday morning, and we're driving there. We're shooting all day, and then coming all the way back.
Yeah,
So-
there are not a lot of teenagers that'll do that.
So what are the normal local matches that you shoot? Shadowhawk is one. What else?
Yep. Well, I guess local is like, local is a funny term, right? So local to us, like within 3 hours. So we're going to shoot Shadowhawk. We will shoot, and by the way, we'll shoot AM PM there. People see that. There's two major reasons why it's good to invest in AM PM. You can actually try, once again, training back to Leo's point. You try something on the AM session, you try something in the PM session, you shoot it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In a different division, you try different positions, things like that. So it's worth investing in to try to find out what works better for your flow, all two or three different ways. Also changing gear with that. That's another big deal. So we shoot there.
And also, you can also still have a lot of fun there, because you might go there you might go to AM and it's a bit more serious, because you want to really get some practice and training and trying new things in. But then the PM, all your friends can come up and you can just completely bomb all the stages and still have a laugh.
Yep. Yeah, and that's
that.
another, once again, keeping the sport fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's why also you just blame it on the PM scores if your name is kind of at the bottom.
It's PM. I didn't guess. It's fine.
I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
I had a beer at lunch, so
Yeah.
I have to say that I love when I had that one chance to shoot with you, and you actually was pushing me, a lot. You were like, "Hey, Huggy, look at it this way. Do this, do this." So you do push me, and I appreciate that. But you also are trying to say, "Hey, look, if you want to get serious about the sport, you've got to do this." And so, I will say I appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. But here's a question for Sasha. Sasha, just out of curiosity, because we're talking about having fun and all of that stuff. So when you were talking gear-wise, shoes, do you have different shoes for different courses, or do you use the same?
Well, it really depends on the mood, Well, I've practiced in Crocs. I obviously sometimes dry fire barefoot, because it's dry fire. You're inside your own house, why not? But Crocs are really good if you want to slip and fall. And then cleats.
who doesn't?
Funny story. I love leaving my Crocs at home on big car rides and big
You mean your cleats?
Did I say Crocs?
You said Crocs.
Oh,
Yeah.
cleats. Sorry. I was thinking about two different types of shoes. Because Florida Nationals, this past one, I forgot my cleats, and so we went out and bought bright green ones, neon green, and it was a lot of fun. And they did not slip and fall at all.
Nice.
Yeah. So what she has a couple different pairs, but really for the most part it's by necessity. So she'll typically shoot in cleats all the way through. But we have the expensive ones. We run what?
You shot in flip flops.
I've been known to shoot Steel Challenge in flip flops.
Nice.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, same thing with Crocs. I have fuzzy Crocs. I'll throw on some thick socks and just go out there and shoot that stuff because we're not moving for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, her shoe selection is really based out of necessity. So we had to make a drive down to, we went to the Nike outlet because that was the closest place, and we found,
not sponsored.
Thank you. She gets this show.
She
I
does.
Love it.
But so we went out there and found
Future co-host.
We found a $10 pair of off the rack neon shoes that fit her style, and the other thing that's another part too. The other thing we'll do just from a shoe buy standpoint, if you ask that, which is so it's funny. You obviously see the technical side and the funny side of the sport, right? So for us, I actually have known to wear shoes that are at least a size smaller, if not a half size smaller than our feet.
We've had this conversation before.
Yep. I'm a size 10 and I have 8.5s.
What?
Why?
Yep.
Yeah. Why?
Why? Because I don't move. My feet don't slide. Because your toes are already in a good position. And so I'm already in that position. Like I'm digging in, like my feet are there. So they run a little bit large, so they're probably more like 9s. But a size smaller is not going to kill your feet.
And you got me a size 5, and I was more like a size 6.5.
But your feet are in that fight position the entire time.
She's not as excited.
Yeah.
Toes definitely hurt.
But at the end of the day, it's like growing up. You don't understand why your father did something to you, but then you do when you're an adult.
I can't wait for her to have kids and be like, you're wearing size 4, but I'm a 7. It doesn't matter.
I know what's best.
They're on clearance. Just wear them.
And the only challenge.
We're saving money.
That's right. And by the way,
it's funny. You're the reason I started wearing narrow Boombas, and also my
really?
sponsor. But because my feet don't, I generally wear I'm the guy that ties his shoes so I can slip my shoes on and slip my shoes off and not have to worry about it, but they'll stay on if I'm not doing a lot. Like my Boombas I have wide feet, but I buy them narrow so that my feet don't move around. And it was because of a conversation we had when I first started shooting a Shadowhawk, however long ago it was. And I mean, I at least feel like I'm going faster and I'm more stable. I've seen the videos. It is factually not true.
Correct.
But I'm not slipping around in my shoes like I normally do.
Whatever makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you have to control so the whole key with this, you have to control what you can control, right? Yep. So if you can influence and sure-footedness, that's very, very important because, the reality is that, so what's also funny, and so she doesn't even know this stuff, right? Because she's never been to a necessary, and not to beat up on it, but an NRA safety training course where you got to get your feet planted and you got to do the thing and you got all this whole thing. It's no, learn how to segregate your upper body from your lower body, right? And be able to know what you need to see and at your upper body control that, where your feet might be doing something weird or in a funny position, but it shouldn't necessarily influence your upper body, right? But you have to still be sure-footed. So you can have a funny lean or you can do a thing. And so it's it's just all natural for her because it's how she's kind of grown up in the sport. But that's a big thing. So yeah, I wear once again, tighter shoes on that stuff, driving around. For her, she's had tight and loose shoes because she's growing, because she gets them tight and then we buy them a little bit big and then they grow in and then, she kind of does the whole thing. But
I'm special.
So when you're saying cleats, I just wanted to make sure, especially out there, there's different types of cleats. There's the screw-in cleats, and then there's the molded cleats. And then of course, the Leo was mentioning the Boombas, and they're have that. Plus they have the turf cleats. Mm-hmm. So my question is, when you all are shooting, are you using the molded cleats or using the screw-in cleats, where that way you can change the depth of your cleat on there, or are you just wearing the turf type style cleat?
I have no clue. Yeah. I didn't know there's different types, but I mean they're the ones that have the best grip, I guess.
Okay. The only reason I had to say, fortunate for me, I played football, so you
He says that every episode, just so you know.
Oh, does he?
No.
I took a word for cricket, but
he's reliving the glory days.
Yeah.
Can I wear your Letterman's jacket next match?
Yes. Yes.
You could both wear his Letterman's jacket at the next match at the same time.
Nice.
You could probably get your whole family in that jacket. Use it as a tent.
So, to kind of dig in, because I'm obviously the technical guy, right, with this stuff. She's just the brains on the technical. But the simple point, you have to think about it because you're various surfaces, right? So you can't plan for one match because you're going to go from, wood balance beam to dirt to different surfaces. So that's more what I look for. And then it's kind of like, what are you gonna to shoot in? And so you want to find. I like wearing stuff because I like stuff that wears really good. And so like Solomon's, who are not a sponsor, right? She wears those because we have a hard time trying to find other shoes. We can find them reasonably priced because they're clearance stuff.
We found Nikes on clearance, not sponsored, but it was definitely on clearance.
Yep, we did that one. I'll wear Innovates. I like those a lot.
Gotcha.
I've got a couple pairs of those. Hard cleat. But you also want to make sure they don't slip on the wood.
We also had this really good pair of North Face boots for like the winter, and they had good grip.
Okay.
And then I tripped and fell and tore a hole in them.
Yeah.
That was actually
somewhat anticlimactic.
Well, yeah,
She lost her battle with gravity that day.
I lose that battle almost every day.
True.
And that's why I prefer. Now I've played different sports. I've been around the world doing a bunch of things, and I actually prefer trail shoes because you get the aggressive tread. But unlike you guys, I actually because of my travels around the world, I actually use my feet to grab. So I like to be able to bend the bottom of the shoe, the sole of the shoe, so I can grab onto things and push and other stuff. So I actually prefer I use the Boomba, not a sponsor, trail shoes, and I love the aggressive tread, but I can still mold the sole of the shoe around whether it's the fault lines or whatever. It still allows me to bend and flex very well. Yeah, and I find I can't do that with cleats.
Well, like we were talking about like the soft ones too. Like we can do that. You also have to balance, not like those hard cleats that you're going to get from most places that you're going to play on, like AstroTurf and stuff like that. You have to find that massive balance though too between the differences. Because when you're sitting on a rock for 14 hours or something like that, that's another big thing that I think gets missed out. We were talking about national levels and stuff like that. Like we really like the 3-day formats because it doesn't beat on her. But the other value of shooting back-to-back and PM sessions, right, is how many times you shoot 14 stages or 10 stages in a day and have to perform at that level. That needs to be trained. There used to be there were a couple clubs that we used to do that with. That were there was really nice because we shoot AM and PM and just burned out by the end of the day and smoked. But then you'd show up to like an Area 8 single day format. We go up to Western PA single day format. Like we're 12, 14 stages, and you can just see who trains and who doesn't because it's it's a mental fitness, it's a gun fitness, it's gear fitness, but it's also like your ability to endure through like hard weather. Through a lot of that stuff. So that's another major kind of thing about it. I'm a big proponent of that stuff and shooting. It's just a lot on clubs to do.
And to always hydrate.
Yes.
Hydrate or die.
The biggest thing about lasting long is snacks and hydrating.
Yep.
And keeping up a good attitude, because then everyone else will have a good attitude because you have a good attitude, and then that'll keep your good attitude going.
Awesome.
Trendsetter, that one.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Love it. Love
See,
it.
I can't eat because the one time I did eat, what happened, guys? Actually, in fairness, it was the best stage I shot that day, but I had to relieve myself, and I was like, "Can I safe my gun as soon as I'm done shooting the stage? Because I gotta go," and I did. But it was the best stage I shot that day.
What are you eating? You're not supposed to eat.
It was lunch. It was literally a salad and a piece of chicken.
I'm talking about like snacking, like
no, I can't do that. It's the same reason I don't snack when I go hunting. I missed a 10-point buck that way. I had to go do something, and my buddy said, "Hey, there's a buck coming right behind you."
He's missing a body part, so you have to understand that.
Oh well, I mean, you gotta figure that out. That you gotta figure it because you have to stay hydrated. You have to. I mean, she knows about that really well because we've watched dehydration come in and food and stuff like that. So, people
So when do you start the hydration process?
The night before.
You wait that late?
What, that late? I mean, the night before, we already know what our intake's going to be. So it's going to be electrolytes, Gatorade. You know what I mean? So you barely sleep through the night because you're up peeing every 15 minutes. Oh, sorry, that's me. It's just from getting old.
Yeah, I was like, that's like
That's
for
a
guys here,
prostate
like, that just
issue.
happened. That's normal.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my excuse. See, that's like AM PM matches, right?
But yeah, I take my two big the thing that you put water in, you know,
Like
Things and stuff, yeah.
water bottle.
Mug?
We have
Thank you.
elixir tablets or electrolyte. Sorry, my words. Electrolyte tablets that we have before the match, and then we just hydrate all the way through. So, and there's also V8 hydrate drinks that I kind of want to try at a match, but then I don't know how it will work. But like I've drank them because I used to do theater, so if I came home really dehydrated, then I would like drink the hydrate things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because it'd be fancy.
So Sasha, I'm gonna go to the extreme left here, and I'm gonna ask you a question. It's a fun question, and it's just something that I'd like for people to know. What would you say is your favorite movie?
The Princess Bride.
What is it?
You are the coolest person other than my wife.
I missed that. What was the movie?
The Princess Bride.
Ah,
It's
okay.
the best movie ever made on planet Earth.
I'm the kid who's getting the story told to him. I don't like the kissing part, but I like the adventure.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Best answer ever. I'm not even being funny. If you were to ask my wife right now what my favorite movie of all time is, that would be the answer that you got. We just became best friends.
Are you like the grandpa who's reading the story to the kid?
Oh, no. I'm the giant. Anybody want a peanut? Greatest character ever,
Oh
man.
Lord.
Call the Brute Squad. I am the Brute Squad. Come on, man. I can quote that whole movie right now. I'm not going to because this is about
I'm
you.
like the insane I just totally forgot his name. But the insane doctor who helped revive
Oh, Miracle Max?
Miracle
Billy
Max.
Crystal,
Helped
Miracle
his wife.
Max.
The one who like absolutely tries to not get in trouble, but he gets in trouble every single time.
Yep.
Probably the Miracle Max's wife.
This is the best interview we've ever done.
How'd you look what you started, bro?
I love it, dude. I think that's awesome. That is awesome. I love the movie myself. I'm also a very big Mel Brooks fan. I love all his movies. You know, he's cracks me up. So, but yeah, here's another one. Is there actually, besides shooting, is there any other sport that you enjoy doing on the outside besides shooting?
I used to swim, but then I kind of once I got into shooting, I stopped. That was like in 3rd grade. But I love baking. That's really fun. Like I love baking like pies and like treats and stuff like that. But it's not really like a sport.
Best friends. Best friends we're gonna be.
I know.
Literally the other thing I do.
Nice. Look at that. Look, Sasha. When you grow up, you could be like that guy over there.
You could be fat. Congratulations, you have something to aspire to.
Okay.
A very jolly and portly demeanor.
Love it.
Oh,
She's got another thing she has a lot of passion for.
What?
You're thinking of her.
Obviously,
Oh,
very
wait.
passionate.
Oh, there he is.
She actually 3 years ago at nationals, we had literally shot. She shot all day, and she's like, "So hey, I need to like get to school tomorrow, like, because I have to."
had an audition.
She has an audition, so we left Frostproof, Florida at 6 p.m. that night and drove straight through in one drive all the way so that she could actually get to school so that she could actually do her audition the following day.
Yeah.
What was it for? What role?
Well, it was in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, nice.
And since I was a lowly 6th grader, I was a Munchkin Ozian.
But you tried out for?
Well, I tried out for the Scarecrow because you're supposed to go big or go home.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
Mhm.
You should have, but you should have gone. You should have gone for Dorothy. That's what you should have gone for.
Well, I'm not much of the. I'm not a very good singer, so I probably wouldn't do very good as the lead role because no one would come if I sang as the lead role. I was better at the tumbling around and losing all my straw. You know.
Or you know what? You'd have been a good Tin Man. See, Tin Man.
That's true.
I was the porter in Macbeth. I wore a kilt and everything. I also sang.
I mean, I know it's a Shakespeare
Yeah.
Play, but I've never really like watched it or read it or anything like that. I only know that it's a cursed word for superstitious people in theater.
You've got some time before you need to read that one, but I was also a weird sister in that one.
I mean, you're still a weird sister now, bro.
Truth.
True story.
Haven't stopped.
See,
Take that role hard.
I couldn't do plays. They said I was too big.
Method acting.
They're like, you're too big for this part, so go somewhere else.
I'm not a munchkin.
You know,
No.
it's funny. It's funny we talk about this. So one of the whole reasons about getting into the sport was once again finding something they can master. But you know, I know this might come as a surprise, but someone here that's sitting with me might have been considered shy by nature prior to shooting and doing that stuff. And so watching once again. Being put in challenging situations, having to deal with stuff, learning how to, all of that stuff, it has completely, I don't want to say changed her personality, brought out the best parts of her personality that were, that would take longer to come out to get comfortable, built that confidence, built that ability to do those things. And so it's like another major thing, which is funny. So that's why I just love the idea of at 8, almost 9, she's a little bit, shy. By 10, she's at nationals, 10, 11, and we're driving back, as a 6th grader, whatever, to after a national level match, a few years later to go try out for the, the 3rd ranked part in a school play. Right. So you just wonder what, if you don't think investing in the kids, right, around this stuff is important, you're missing the boat. They're not going to come to their own. You have to let them find out who they are, but you have to let you have to culture and nurture that and figure that stuff out. So it's kind of my view on that.
Oh, you just had a floating hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait.
That's so awesome. That is awesome. I love the relationship you two have. I remember when I first met you two up at Shadowhawk. And I will have to say, Monster was, she was kind of like, who is that guy? But
I mean, he goes by the name Huggy. What does this mean? It's,
right.
It's just like a
It's a
creepy
fair
ghost
question.
who's actually a nice guy.
Right.
Or is that creep on the internet?
Is that name ironic?
Right. So it's actually, at watching her grow, it is like now it's like, hey, Huggy, how are you? And so forth and so on. And I actually had to say that it's been wonderful to watch Sasha grow in the sport. And even the short little time that I've been in the sport, she's been amazing to me. I think this is great and this is awesome. Again, I brag about you all the time. I also try to boast to younger shooters to watch you and to look for you, because I try to let them understand that, because they go, oh, I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, but you can. And let me show you somebody that has done this. So I thank you for being such a wonderful advocate. You've been great. You have such an awesome attitude. And I love your dad. Your dad's he's awesome. and as always. And
This is the part where we have to remind Huggy that you're married and he can't date you.
no, I'm not. I'm talking about Dan. I'm talking Dan. Because
No.
Okay,
I
we know.
understand. He was going with no homo, like it's kind of what he was trying to say.
exactly.
Okay.
So
You say that. Okay.
But you blew up a bromance, bro. I mean, I appreciate Huggy too. I mean, it's all right.
It's very huggable.
This is awkward.
It just got really weird.
Come on, you were in the military, bro. There should be no awkward in you.
right, right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why? Because it's not Thursday.
Well, to echo Huggy without the awkward bromance, I also talk about you. That's what makes it awesome. I do talk about Sasha a lot as far as to other people. Like, listen, if you have this girl who is slight of frame, whose nickname is Monster because she crushes men's souls on the freaking shooting range, like, you can get out there and at the very least put in a little bit of effort and just try. Like, if you don't try, just then sit at home and don't do anything. Because if you can't take a little bit of effort to get up off the couch and go shoot at some cardboard ninjas, what are you gonna do? So I definitely use you as my banner of anybody can do this sport and anybody can do it well. They just have to be a little bit dedicated. So thank you for being a role model for people that have never met you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the biggest part about it is exactly that. The challenge with the sport though is it's exactly what you get out of it is what you put into it a lot of times. It's very perishable very quickly. And whether you're having fun when you're doing it, and the other part is not overtaking it seriously. But yeah, I think the other part is finding the advocacy for and trying to figure this out and getting the parents in line kind of with the sport as well. You know what I mean? And just learning kind of through it is because you can once you kind of build the foundation with it and get everybody on board, it works really, really well. But kind of in the interim, it's also very difficult because you got to master a lot of different things. And I think a lot of society today is taking away the need for like precision in training. And matter of fact, actually, honestly, I'll be very frank. I think in some cases you can see some of the divisions that are coming up now that they're trying to make the sport easier and easier. And those are the divisions that are exploding because it takes less and less training, I think, or fundamentals. But as long as it keeps the sport alive, it's fine. It builds more advocates in for it. It builds more buying power. But I still think that a lot of it is that you just a lot of what we do, you can't just walk up and be good at it. You just can't. Like some people are natural. Yeah, I mean, we and that's actually the funniest thing is it just reminds me that Steve Anderson said that, and I love it to this day, and I'll always remember it. And sometimes if you catch me off guard, I'll snap at people about it because they'll say, "Oh, she's such a natural." And it brings me back to the day when she was sitting there, and I have the videos of her literally almost throwing her Flimcat across the room or across the working on her reload speeds at 9. You know what I mean? Getting to that gun to the point that the gun's almost out of control, unloaded, right? But we're sitting at the Anderson class, and she started picking up on it. And Steve walked over to me. And looked at me and said, one day they're going to tell her they're going to say she was a natural and she was born with it, and they're never going to see this, which is the hard work that goes in. So, is there a natural ability for this stuff? Probably, but we'll never know in a sense because she trains hard enough to build an ability that may or may not have been there. We may be, furnishing one, building one, adding to it, but the reality is that just a natural tendency will only get you so far in any sport, but specifically, I think in shooting. Right? The natural ability is there, but you have to cultivate it. And so it's like sometimes people are like, "Oh, she's just natural." And I'm just like, "Rawr!" I'm like, because I remember what Steve said, that people take away her hard work because not to say that she's not a natural because she has naturally good tendencies, but there's no get off the couch, you know what I mean, and just go shoot with it. I remember where I knew she caught the bug actually was we were training for Steel Challenge, and that's where she started because that's a great place to start, right? And she was getting beat up all the time, not shooting as fast, doing everything else. And you shoot those days where like it just rains and it's miserable. Like usually rain stops the humidity, takes it out of the air, but sometimes it bounces back even harder, right? It was a Saturday like that. We were supposed to go shoot a match on Sunday, And she was out there training. She's like, I don't want to do it. And the grass was wet because we had a home range. And she's just like, I'm like, listen, that's fine. You don't have to train, but if you want to, like, here's the deal. If you go get beat tomorrow and you didn't train, I don't want to hear about it. Like, just, you're not going to ruin the ride. I don't want to hear about how you could have done better because you have the opportunity to do better and you've chosen not to. And so she just grabbed the gear, everything else, went out there and sucked up that misery, and then took the match by 40 seconds the next day. I was like, oh, there we go. And that's that level of commitment to it. So I think that's also very important.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I feel like it's kind of hard to be like devoted and like have that kind of commitment at like, I guess, like as like a teen or as like a kid, because like it with normal sports, like you just go to practice like I don't know how many times a week, and then you just like show up to like a game, but then you can just like blame it on other people for like if they didn't win, if you like don't really want to take the blame. And really that I'm not saying that like everyone does that, but like it's like kind of hard to have that kind of ownership, and like that ownership means that you're not really like, it kind of implies that like you're not really committed to it because you won't take the blame, meaning you won't, if you want to win, you have to take your losses too. And so it's kind of like even like some kids, they'll just like play video games, and if they don't win the video game, they'll just like quit and go to another one. And like that's not like really how life is. Like if you can't just like do a job and like not get a promotion and then just quit because you might not find another one. And so like that's why you really have to work hard at your job, and you might not get a promotion, so you work harder. And that's like kind of how it's like, I guess shooting applies a lot to life, which I'm like kind of starting to like realize.
Very good.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. There's a lot of people.
Just got deep.
There's a lot of people at our job that needs to listen to that because they need to work harder.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Bookings for her.
I think it was
motivational speaking. So if anybody wants to reach out to us, about booking for her to, crack the whip on some people over there who have, bad sense of feels or they need to get motivated, we'll
Yeah.
13-year-old come and crush your soul.
Right.
What do you got, Dave? You got that?
Just saying, I think it's Bruce Lee who said what it wasn't the guy who worried him who practiced 10,000 kicks one time. The guy that worried him was the guy who would practice one kick 10,000 times.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's repetition, repeatability, that whole thing. And, be careful of this thing. I mean, and that's the other thing. And it's funny you say that, is like, that's another part too, is like people ask like what divisions, what platforms, what do we do and why do we train? So she'll shoot 1911s because they're similar to 2011s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that simple. We're not, limited's limited, but, we'd rather just have something else because once again, gun articulation, right? That's once again, it's very similar platforms, very diversified, very hard training in the same type of stuff. She actually has problems reloading her 2011. I put her on a 1911. We don't make it easier. We make it harder, right?
Right.
Yep.
Focus.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to get better at my reloading. I'll just like switch to some single stack for a week or two, maybe a month, because it's fun.
Yep.
And then I'll just switch back, and then boom, look at that. All the hard work you put in actually paid off. Imagine that.
Imagine that. I like it.
I'm gonna put on a T-shirt. Imagine that.
I know. That's a new slogan.
TM.
Yeah.
Verbal trademark right there.
I will have to say, I heard Dan actually helped start a company because he had you shouted out a slogan, and now it's actually.
I have been known to do that. I have been. Yeah, my mouth does get me into trouble from time to time.
Well, I heard this one didn't get you in trouble. It actually helped out somebody. So
yeah, my ideas, and if they can monetize them, I'm in. You know what I mean? I'm all about it. That's the best part about the sport, right? Is finding the right places and supporting the people locally and stuff like that. But yeah, my mouth is and we've I still remember that match. You know what I mean? It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have to say I love it too because there's times when I'm sitting there and you're walking by and you'll shout something out to me, and it's just funny. I laugh, but it actually helps to break that. Sometimes and the guys will tell you I get too like angry and too mad, and I'm like, damn it, I'm slow, I suck. This is blah blah blah, and you've come by and you're like, you said something out of the blue, and I'm like, and I just laugh, and I'm, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah,
Everything.
kind of breaking the tension.
Yeah, you have to, right? Like that's the big thing is like you gotta leave. There's that saying is like it's leave it on the field, right? I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. Like give everything you have for every moment you have, leave it on the field, right? But that also means leave the failure there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right?
I know. Yeah, you're right. Because I will have to say at nationals, I was pretty upset, and the guys here they were like, Huggy, it's over with. Let it go. Just let it go.
I
And
think you told me that before because I remember I was having struggle with the stage, and you told me that stage is that stage, and that it's a new stage and a fresh, like a new start.
mm-hmm.
You might have told me something like that. I remember you telling me something like that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very
So I had
profound.
to say that's good. And I love your dad when he hollers out those little funny well, I don't know how he gets them, but they're funny as hell.
I try.
I mean, that was probably the whole reason that he came to open nationals and I came to single stack nationals, was mostly to break the tension because like I couldn't get serious at single stack nationals because I was there to have fun, and he couldn't get wasn't supposed to get nervous at or not nervous tense at open nationals because he was there to have fun, and so it kind of like helped even it out. And I mean, like it was really fun in the end, and I mean it kind of helped,
Right. I love it. I love it.
You got to work as a team, and that's the best thing about having it, knowing how to feed it. And so like we even have like kind of code words around what kind of coaching does she need from me at that moment, because there's different type of stuff, right? Like so there's certain modes of coaching that she'll need from me. Because it really, I mean, skill set wise, we'll get there, but really, it's it's the emotional side of stuff. Which version of me does she need at that moment?
Yeah. Do I need like a harsh kind of like, hey, like you should really like get your head in the game, or like, hey, just leave it behind. Kind of like a different type of just like, I guess, focus on mindset.
Yeah,
I don't
know. Like sometimes you need to be squared away, and the idea of like just get your game on, get your head out of your butt, let's move on, get over with it.
Sometimes you just need a hug.
Yep.
Well, I asked that of Dave sometimes, and Dave was like, "No."
Dave's the
Dave,
tough love dad.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the dynamic too, right? Like that's kind of the dynamic of working with kids and just knowing how to work with it and that kind of taking it through there, because that's a big deal when it comes to kind of the sport.
Yeah.
It's just kind of pushing that through. And what do you need? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes sometimes she just needs to be left alone and knowing when to do that. And I think that the big part with this, and is what's also unique about the sport, which I love about it, amazingly from my standpoint, is that I can still, we started off with, like what levels I compete at, right? So, we've been poking fun at you about your football days, but you're not going to go out there and run, whatever position you ran and did all that stuff. You're going to talk about it, and you're going to, right? But at this level I still get to go out and compete at a medium, mid to upper level with my daughter. So she sees me train, push, succeed, fail, gun doesn't work, this doesn't work, all this other, crap. But, she gets to watch me go through that, struggle through that in the same match that she's shooting actually at some time, right? And work off of that. So we get to celebrate our successes and our failures together at the same time. And I think that today, once again, I think that parents like they want to push their kids to do the things that they didn't think they didn't have the mentality to do when they were kids. Where like if you want to teach, you show, right? You represent how to do those things. And I think that sports allow us to do that. When we, at least this sport, right? Because you could be, god awful, right? JJ's 40 years old. Think about that. Like his closest competition's like can't even buy a beer.
That's rough.
I'm serious.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And he's raising what? I think he's got 2 or 3 kids. He's got businesses. He's shooting for a company, and he's still at a high level, and he's 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really nice.
Yeah, he's like that's what, not sponsored by the show, but that was probably one of the most influential classes I think for her. She's been through, so she's worked with JJ as well. So if you want to invest in it, that's the biggest thing too, from the sports standpoint, is investing in yourself to build skill, and then a lot of times going back through it. I think like a good foundational class, and then knowing kind of what classes to be part of has been really, really good.
Right.
So,
I agree.
but yeah, that's just the big deal. Is like, is that we get to do that, and I get to compete with her. That's a lot of fun.
That's
So
awesome.
she's trained with Tilly, Anderson, and Rakaza. Anybody else?
I wouldn't say she trained with Tilly, but no, we've shot with Tilly. You know what I mean? And he's there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
We haven't done a class with Tilly. We've hung out with Tilly.
We've shot with some awesome people. I mean, like I was it was like a day training with Mr. Wampler.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, we do. We'll shoot a lot with Dave too, Wampler.
Yeah,
so,
Dave Wampler.
Local.
He's a really nice guy,
He's a good
and it's
shooter.
really fun. Yeah, he's a
Good,
good
put a
shooter.
word in. We're
He
trying to
shoots
get him
fun.
on the show.
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
Did you just ask for help?
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you said
man.
you already asked. I'm not gonna
It's all
help.
about who you know. We know you. You know him. Help him help know us.
All right, I'll text him.
All right.
But yeah, he's been a very good influential shooter. It's good. What's also unique with Dave, which allows for it, which has been very, very good, is that he can set it up where if you train with him, you then can shoot a match with him, and you can kind of get instant feedback on the training and development. So you can see a lot of that. So yeah, Dave's got his stuff together. He knows what he's looking at. That's where a lot of the hard partials and learning to do that. It's funny, like some of the training there, like, right, if you focus on it, you're going to hit on it. So like, why do anybody bother really worry about tuxedos? Well, they're looking for increased margin of error, but really you should be aiming at that anyway, stuff like that, just like good training stuff like that, learning transitions, things like that. So he's been very instrumental in working with us. We've probably spent more time with him than everybody else, because he's local, right? But he also does a very, very good job with that stuff. And and by the way, if anybody says that physically, like, Dave is not like, what I mean, he's like Fred Flintstone. You know what I mean? He's got a little heft to him, but he moves. And
He
so
does.
how to get your body underneath all that stuff. So and how to use your body.
You can be fast. You can do it. I believe in you.
Well, I'm glad you believe in me. I got fast one time at Nationals, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to stop.
Did you pull something?
Yeah, geez.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Sasha, let me tell you, if you can see the video, when I was running, I had that flashback of days of football. I was flying, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, I gotta stop.
Right. And there's not a guy coming at me that's going to stop me either.
Right. I usually am running into somebody, and I'm like, there's nothing there, and I don't have a
There
parachute.
was a berm. I mean, there was a berm.
There was a berm, but I was like, I don't have a parachute. I don't have a Jake brakes, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if my knees can actually stop me.
I was standing off on the side recording singing, I feel the earth move under my feet.
I honestly think they actually there was actually tremors. I think they recorded that on the Richter scale of me running.
Yeah, the aftershock. It was very tumultuous at the time.
Right.
I think you could do it. I think you could do it.
There's a new sinkhole in Florida somewhere.
Yeah. Listen, Sasha believes in you, man.
Yes, and I
Do it for
appreciate
Sasha.
that. I appreciate that, and you watch.
Yeah.
You watch.
Yeah.
Go.
I thank you, and you watch. I'm going to pick up my speed because I want more appetizers, Leo.
Just don't get hurt.
Want more appetizers?
She said, "Don't get hurt."
Yeah.
She doesn't understand the concept where your mind says you're 29, your humor says that you're 12,
Right.
right? Your body wants to know if there's another day left on Earth.
Yep.
Thank you. That is perfect. You said it perfectly. Oh my God, that is so.
In about 30 years, you're going to understand what he's going through.
30 years.
Well, probably like 40, but I was trying to be generous.
Yeah.
I was trying to make it feel good.
Thank you.
You got a little while.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so math, not her favorite subject. Got it.
She's amazing.
That's what calculators are for.
Oh God, but yeah, you definitely have to. You want a good laugh, you have to see if you can watch that video of me running. You'll die laughing.
Well, you just gotta figure out what your body makeup is, right? Like that's kind of like understanding like how Dave operates, right? Like that's the biggest thing is understanding what your weight structure looks like and how does it work. Like where can you make up your time, or do you operate most efficiently?
Right, you're absolutely right. But it was I just had that one moment, like you stated. I thought I was back in my 20s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not in my 20s yet, so
No.
I can't really relate. I can relate. Can I relate?
No, probably
No, probably not.
No.
Not worth the effort on that one. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to relate.
Okay. We appreciate the effort. It's
Thank you. You make me feel better, but no.
So.
Oh my God, this has been so much fun.
Well, I have one more question, and then I don't know if anybody else has anything. But what are your goals going into this season and for majors and for either classing up or just like what are you trying to achieve for this year?
Well, so right now I'm kind of at a low B class because I just got to B class. So I'm kind of trying to get. Oh, thank you. So I'm trying to get more to like middle B class and like because I don't really want to go straight to A because I don't think I'm there yet. Like I mean I just kind of want to get up. Like I don't want to go to nationals and be a bottom B class because like that doesn't feel so good and it doesn't look so good either. So I'm kind of trying to like get more to middle B class than to like low B class. Because I used to be a high C class, but now I'm just like a low B class,
Well, I'm a U.
I don't know because we're unclassed right now. So
yeah, I'm a U.
Sorry.
Well, you guys should get that done. And I think the biggest pitfalls for most people is they want to keep classing up because they feel like they get to carry that card around on their thing, and that's kind of the deal. So she made actually I'm the only one who has the password, so she doesn't even know how she's classified until I tell her. Because I don't want it to be a focus.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah, because it brings undue pressure on it. She got bumped to B class because of her performance in there, but more or less how she performed at nationals. So there were 2 or 3 new classifiers, and so when you want to find out how you're actually ranked, she shot against her finish at nationals was part of her classification and her majors. And so when she's shooting at 60% of Rakaza and of Sailor, right, like that's a real good deal, and that's where you want to be. You're not as good as your classification is. You're as good as your finishes are, right? Of people in your division high level. And anything outside of that is like. What is it, bragging rights? Like people have ruined careers, they've ruined their reputations on wanting to up class, and do that stuff. And some of them, I guess, have made their careers on it, but as soon as they walk up, they get handed to them, which I think is even worse. I think that the draw to be up, an upperclassman is like, it's like, hey, I'm the, Huggy, the water boy on the varsity football team. Yeah.
Woo!
You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Right?
Gatorade is better.
Yes, exactly right. So we don't, from a class standpoint, I want to see a progression to get into the 75s this year. I think would be good. All last year, she was always within 55 to 60% of Dave every single match, like clockwork. If we can get that into the 70s this year, we'd have a successful year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
The New Year's resolution.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing if we could find, just find that in there. That'd probably be a very successful season for her. We have, really good support if we can continue to go that from certain sponsors and stuff like that. We like to keep that. But the reality is that I will tell you, and that's another big thing is the support and sponsors, which we'll plug at some point if you guys don't mind. But they did not take her on because of her classification. They took her based on her demeanor and who she is.
Makes sense.
So yeah, but I mean, you got to think about that. And by the way, this isn't how many followers we have on Instagram, because I think we don't have I don't even know if we have 1,000 or something like that. But
we don't even need 1,000.
Yeah,
we don't need any.
Whatever. But the simple point is like why people get different sponsors in different levels, and I think the other. And that's a big deal. So is keeping those people we know all the individual owners of the companies. We have all the rules around that stuff. And so just keeping that stuff and keeping the demeanor and a good advocacy for the sport, which is key. It has nothing to do whether, being a GM and being a total tool or being entitled is way worse than being, a C-class shooter who just has a good attitude. I mean, her, one of our, biggest supportive sponsors that we have, that does a lot for us nationally, because we have good local stuff, we have good national stuff, but like KKM supplies all of our barrels, we positions for nationals, things like that. And it has a lot to do with her Gun Broken Nationals 3 years ago. They barrel sheared off, and it was her attitude about when we didn't know we were talking to the owner, and he's like, well, how's your match? And her response was, I'm having a character.
It's a learning experience.
Yep, and she's having a character building match, and he just talked it through, and she didn't, whine or complain or terrible this, terrible that. It was we're out. We flew, we went to Zion, we hiked.
It was a really cool place.
See, you know what I mean? And I think that's what drives the sport. I think the uppityness of the sport, for the most part, is a problem. And I think that they want that. So the expansion of that stuff and keeping the companies around. So that's a pretty good thing. I mean, I have I have goals for this year, but we run through those, and it's really how do you perform,
And hey, I'm a junior who paced. That's a plus.
There you go.
As somebody who's gotten yelled at for that, I agree.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's another thing too, and that's another thing is keeping up the reputation, because there are some challenges in the junior space with stuff like that, and I think is it because the kids don't want to be there. They do want to be there, but they don't want us to participate. Our rule has always been all of the sport or none of the sport.
Got it.
Like, you've got to be in all of it or none of it. Like, there's no sort of being in it. Like, I have to, because she's in there, but not even, we start off all the time, like, she's not allowed to pick up steel. She's not allowed to touch steel or pick it up. I think you guys know that, but none of the listeners would, because her lead levels, right? She's young, she got lead levels, and, she's tested every 90 days for her lead. Because
I finally got to 7.
They don't even know what that means.
Oh, well, so it's average to have 5. Like, that's an average kid. And so I got down to 7 or 6. So I'm healthy now.
Yeah, she wasn't healthy. We've had
Congratulations.
Wow.
We had child services call the house. We had things like that. You know what I mean? Because they report the lead levels to the state.
Right.
And do the right thing by making sure she's there. She was considered high. We didn't have any major challenges.
It was 11.
Yeah, her level was 11. So she stopped, chewing on lead bullets.
And I mean, they did taste good.
A little tingy,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so you just got to protect the kids and do all that stuff. So yeah, no, we do appreciate that kind of stuff for her goals for the year. So
that's awesome.
But the goal is to stay in the sport and not make it a job, because as soon as it becomes a job, then it's
it loses.
There's no fun.
Yeah, fun's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
She looks disappointed even thinking about the fun being gone. She's like, oh, that would be horrible.
Like, imagine being the fun's gone. It's not even a fun sport. Like, what is it anymore?
Well, it's like life's like that.
True.
Yeah.
Well, and Huggy mentioned earlier that we saw the Williams sisters shoot, and I was watching one of them. I don't remember which one it was that was shooting. I don't remember if it was production or Carry Optics, but anyway, she was on the Super Squad. So whichever one was on the Super Squad, I was sitting there. I like to watch people and their body language, and she was watching other people shoot, and she had earbuds in and was literally dancing to music, just watching other people shoot and waiting for her turn. So you could see she was very relaxed. She was enjoying herself. She was laughing and joking. And for someone who's, 16 or 17, whichever one she was, she had a great demeanor, and she was definitely, even though she was on the super squad with a lot of talent and a lot of pressure, she didn't care. She was having fun. Very impressive.
They're really nice.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to shoot.
Yeah, we got to shoot with them, and it was really nice because they're also really good advocates for the sport. And I think they've also, because when I shot with them for the first time in nationals, my first nationals, I got to shoot with them, and it was really I don't know how old they were then, but I was 10, and so I was it was really big for me, and so I was obviously really nervous. But they were really nice to me, and they sometimes gave me some tips, and then they helped me so that it wasn't as stressful. And so they're really, really nice to me, and that kind of made an impact because I had to shoot with him all the time, and so
Wow.
and so it was, I mean I love you and all, but
He's a parent.
But-
He's your parent. Yeah.
yeah, he's my dad.
Yeah.
And I also shoot with a lot of his friends, so I don't really get to shoot with a lot of female shooters or
Closer to your age.
yeah.
Right.
And I mean I think they were juniors too back, I think then, because I think
Still
are they still juniors? I don't know.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
Okay,
one is
yeah.
still, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
So,
quite their ages,
but
yeah.
they're
The older
kind
one
of,
is 17.
Yes.
yeah. So they kind of, it was I kind of could connect to them more because I was their same age, and we were it was kind of easier because I wasn't just shooting with more 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds or a lot of other people older than me. I mean, it's still fun because it's really fun to make fun of them, but it's it was different, and it was nice.
Yeah, I think that's a big key with it. It's you just trying to find peer groups with it and try to do that, and they're great advocates, and and we actually will even do that. I have it set up where we do stress out on our relationship from time to time. It's been a little while, but a couple times, more than a few times, we've done it a couple times a year by either just because we've had a rough week with each other, or with that, which is true. You just have to identify it, right?
Yeah.
Or that my schedule's been crazy and I need to keep her training, and I can't, and I don't have the time, but I send her off to matches by herself, or somebody picks her up, and she'll shoot with Dave, or she'll shoot with people, and she just does her own thing, and I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? Or she'll be up there with Lynn.
And I mean, we still have other we have other people there, his friends and stuff. So it's not I'm completely by myself.
Yep.
But it's still kind of, and I remember my first match I ever shot without him, I was with two of his friends because they drove me up, and it was because he just needed a break from me, because I'm also a handful. I mean, he is a handful, but I am too, because I'm his daughter. It's genetics or something like that.
Science.
Yeah, science.
Very, very similar DNA, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So.
But yeah, so that's kind of the whole thing. So it's all family. It's all bringing it together. It's knowing how to do it, and then also knowing when to break. So it's always been very, very good.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Gents, you guys got anything else?
I just happy that we had a good time, and I actually had enjoyed talking to Dan and Sasha. And
You could get my name right by the end of the podcast. That'd be solid.
I keep waiting for it. I'm I wonder if anybody's going to correct him on this one.
No, we're good. It's cool.
I've been waiting, so I did it on purpose. I was kind of going. I'm waiting for that jab.
I can't.
It's okay. You can say that if it makes you feel better.
Ever the diplomat. If it helps you get through this, we'll do it together.
Jam.
I
like
hope
it.
she starts calling you Dan from now on.
She's
Hey,
very
Dan.
witty.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I love it. I love it. See, this is the best part. That's why I can't wait to get back out there shooting, because I know I'm waiting. I'm like, I don't know. I just miss it. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be up at Shadowhawk next weekend. So.
Yeah, they have a USPSA match.
Yep.
They have them every second Sunday and Saturday of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one time Leo and I were up there, and it was snowing, and we couldn't feel our hands.
Dang.
Yeah.
That was a
I
fun one.
actually went up there with one of my friends who was shooting at the time. Ever since then, she hasn't really gotten back into it. I don't think
She's a fair weather fighter.
it's all right.
It's fine.
It's what they want to do. I mean, something more indoors might be more suitable for them. I guess 3 inches of snow wasn't that delightful. I don't know how.
It's not for everybody,
Yeah,
It's okay. This is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna judge you.
We
I-
definitely.
No, I'll judge you. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Again, married. I get it. It's fine. It's fine.
We're good. But well, as you guys know, we probably go forever on a lot of stuff. So we do appreciate you guys' time too with everything. I do want to, I think for you guys over there on the second rung of this whole thing, is that you guys, because you're on the tiers, right? So you're down the bottom because you're unclassified as shooters. Let's get that done this year for your goals.
It's on the goals. It's on the list.
I believe in you.
Yeah,
I
you
actually
can
do
it.
this time.
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm right here.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had to say, like, Leo and I are going to be pushing each other to classify up. So
That's good. It's like the
It's
pace-
not hard. Anything above 0 will get you classified.
Yeah.
Jokes.
So,
Still hurts.
but yeah, get out there, get it done.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's part of our goal set for this season. So we'll get there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I just do want to. I'm gonna do some shameless plugs if you guys don't mind.
Hit it.
go ahead.
I got glasses for Christmas.
So I want to thank Hunter's AC Gold for that, because Brian is just a huge advocate. So if you guys have that one,
He
so
is
we love
awesome,
him.
yeah.
the only way to
He's
go,
amazing.
right? Yep.
He's awesome.
Yeah, we've got this one.
If you don't
Luke
like
from
him, you're a
KKM.
bad person.
Huh?
Yeah, if you don't like Brian, that makes you a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's solid.
Yeah.
Love Brian.
I don't know.
Same thing with Luke from KKM. I mean, just paramount awesome, like making an opportunity for us. We couldn't do what we do without their national level stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Mark from Immortal, all right, Orange or Immortal Bot, still supporting all the Ammo Bot guys out there after Dylan bought him up. So we'll see what they're coming out with. So he does a tremendous job. I've been working with him for more than a few years, and once again making a lot of that stuff possible. So, up and coming, we got Lone Star. So if you guys have anything about the Outlaw grips, you guys ever see that stuff out there?
It's a really good grip.
Yep. They'll make them custom. So he's special design for aluminum for the kids. So that's what she runs.
Mhm.
So they take care of that stuff here. Dave, I'm going to plug Dave Wampler because he absolutely takes care of us with all that stuff, in our training, and RSP. If you guys know RSP Gun Shop up in West Virginia, they're a big importer for Shooters World as well. So if you guys want to try that stuff out, we can talk a little bit about that. But they take care of us. So I don't think we got anybody. Oh, my company, Clark Financial.
Clark Financial.
So that's how we make it too. It's a family business.
They kind of put food on the table. Definitely did.
Yeah.
That ramen is yummy.
So we like that, and then obviously Go Fast Don't Suck, right? It's a big thing. It's a local brand. Most of those brands are all local, right? So that's a big deal too. Is
Definitely
supporting that
community.
stuff and knowing everybody. So yeah, I mean I don't think I missed anybody out this one, but they're really supportive of this one, and get out there if you guys have any questions. Her Instagram is Steel Team 6. So anybody who wants to listen to that and travel to that one, that's cool too.
I don't run it. I'm
Yep.
going to clarify. I do not run it. So what is said is him. It's
Yep.
all on him.
So she obviously does the pictures. You guys are talking about teenagers. That's where the pictures of her sleeping come in from.
Why do you post pictures of me sleeping? Like, what's the point?
It's meditation, deep, thoughtful meditation, unconscious meditation.
Yeah. So, but we appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. So, let me know if there's anything else. So, just where are you going? What are you looking at?
What?
So,
I jumped on the floor.
but we appreciate your guys' time today.
Well,
Yeah,
we
thank you
appreciate
for
yours.
being on.
Thank you very much for hanging out with us.
Yep. Cool.
It was really fun.
Good. I'm
Good
glad. We'll have to do it
almost
again
hours.
later in the season. See how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Awesome.
Fancy.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
See you out on the range.
Thank you.
Thank
Later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hold on. Hang up. You're gonna edit that?
Oh.
Oh, that's a Dave question.
Who's-
Hold on.
Until next time.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.